Yes, you can still gain weight eating vegan, and no, sadly, it isn't a magic shield against every health ailment under the sun. This photo of me here was taken 3.5 years ago off the back of 3 short trips in Europe where, generally speaking, most of my food was quite healthy and controlled. I documented it all on this channel here and was actually quite proud of how I handled most of these trips. But it just shows you the price of eating out a little bit more, even if you're making relatively decent choices. And yet, I dare say, to have a little bit of fun with friends and family, I had 1 or 2 indulgences there as well. By no means overweight. Of course, this is a slender, slim physique that, frankly, most of my viewers really aspire to, and the kind of physique really on a young man that was commonplace, sadly, only 20 to 30 years ago. Nothing wrong with it. But let's compare it here to this photo of me today. I say today, I don't know what photo I'm going to insert here, but let's say it was taken in the last 3 months. Now, looks can be very deceiving, and lighting conditions can actually make a difference in how the physique looks. I have undoubtedly also put on a little bit of muscle in this time, but will you believe me when I actually tell you that in this first photo here, 3.5 years ago, off the back of these 3 trips, I was 3.5 kilos heavier than this one today. And the muscle mass sort of distorts it slightly and makes an illusion, but I think you can quite clearly see the leanness difference in my figure between these 2 photos, even if the first one I was by no means overweight. And, like I say, I was quite proud of how I handled these trips, but it just shows you, even when you're eating vegan, even when you're eating directionally quite clean as a vegan, but you just have a little bit less control because you're eating out so often during these trips, just shows you, doesn't it? The price of precision. The value today of now being in my routine and still not being perfect. I had that almond croissant I showed you on Instagram the other day. The difference being now in my normal food routine that almond croissant is accounted for in my daily calories rather than being stacked on top of my daily calories like it might have been on this trip. It just shows you the slight difference in preparing all of your healthy meals at home versus maybe going to a salad bar, grabbing a poke bowl, going out for sushi. Still, really quite sensible choices as far as eating out goes. Not much fast food there, but again, it might be plus 100, 150 calories. And you do that every meal, back-to-back days for several weeks in a row. And I was coming back to my normal food routine between these trips, that's worth saying. I wasn't on vacation the whole of this month of September, back in whenever it was, 2022. But, that's enough of the month, let's say 50% of the month, where I was probably decently over my calorie maintenance allowance. It just shows you, doesn't it, the value of precision. No, being vegan isn't enough to automatically guarantee fat loss, being in tremendous shape, and simultaneously, the biomarkers on the inside that we don't always see but absolutely catch up with us, such as cholesterol being in a good point, various health biomarkers. And so this is the point I've been driving home for years on this channel, but you can even see this, even since I've been slim 3 years ago, you can still see the differences in the periods. I talked about Japan last year where I handled my Asia trip. I was really pleased with the level of leanness that I maintained throughout the majority of my Asia trip. But in Japan, I went a little bit harder with the fluffy pancakes, and it was coming towards the end of the trip, and I was a little bit the last hurrah, admittedly. Happens to me too. And, I was maybe a little bit gluttonous towards the end of that trip. I'm honest enough to admit, and therefore, plus a couple of pounds, feel a little bit fluffier. And of course, we dial it in very, very quickly once I get back into my routine after that trip. But as is the point, yes, I do indulge myself when I go on these trips. I do indulge, but I still mostly make really healthy choices on these trips. So even when it's vegan, even when it's healthy vegan food, that still doesn't come close to a precise, structured, calorie-controlled vegan diet. Nothing changes the game like precision, and you're not guaranteed anything by just being vegan. Being vegan tells me what you don't eat, but it doesn't tell me what you do eat, and it doesn't tell me what foods you eat and the portions in which you eat them and the overall food nutrition structure with which you eat anyway, and of course, not to mention your activity levels as well. So really, I'm just driving home here the value of precision, even at the level between being slim here and being lean. It isn't just being really overweight and being slim. Even at the finer levels where you're just talking about a couple of kilos difference, look at just being a little bit more dialed in and what that can actually do in terms of the end result. Precision is everything, and this is being slept on because people love the idea, can't I just eat healthy and that'll get me to a healthy weight, which is understandable. But no, sadly, it doesn't always work like that, especially at the more advanced level. You can lose a lot of weight at first if you've got plus 50 pounds to lose, just by sort of hit and hope and eating healthy. You'll find that you quickly hit that plateau and more precision is called for. You either stop, this is where people stop and they kind of get discouraged and give up because they don't want to go to that next level with precision with their diet and dialing in the calories and boxing things in, putting a lid on the calories. But the value of actually doing that and then pushing through and getting to the more advanced stages of fat loss, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. It's changed my life. It isn't just being vegan that's changed my life. That's a huge part of it, and it's an absolute honor, pleasure, privilege, obligation, frankly, for me to be vegan from an ethical standpoint. But actually, even just being healthy vegan was not enough. I really need to dial in my food routine, stay really disciplined on it, think about the calories a little bit more, not track every calorie, but think about them, care about the calories, respect the calories and the overall nutrition structure a little bit more. Think about things like calorie density and which foods fill me up for the most per calorie, and not just sort of freely eat healthily. That is what has been the game changer for me. If you resonate with my whole approach here, my whole philosophy, and you're looking to get in your best shape ever, you can either run the Slim and Sustain system independently with my new Slim and Sustain Foundations program, the link to that will be below, or you can of course get that one-on-one support, oversight, coaching from me directly, hands-on nutrition, meal plan building, the precision factored in. I'll handle all the numbers, calories, macronutrients, fiber, etc., for you, so you can just eat in a relaxed fashion without all the guesswork, without all the stress of, oh, is this going to work for weight loss? Because no, Ryan has personally built this meal plan for me. And then, of course, provide the accountability to be there every step of the way. If you want that next level of coaching, accountability, support, etc., you want the full Slim and Sustain coaching program. So both the links to run the system DIY independently to Foundations, but also then the one-on-one coaching program, they'll both be down below. But this is the message I want to drive home. Yeah, you can still gain weight eating vegan. No, it isn't a free pass. And even being healthy vegan is still not enough. You need that precision.